Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of our podcast, Beneath Your Skin. This is Gaia, officially crazy. And how are you doing, my dear?
I'm doing okay. Bit of a heatwave in England. World is mad. I'm playing a lot of Bloodborne and doing well.
That's very good. As long as someone else can play games, I will live dangerously through them because I can't play a game. No skills at all. And today we are going to talk about a movie called Hostage of the Devil. And I have to admit, it was a punch in my not so perfect teeth, and it was good. It was in between of a documentary, a movie. The main character is Father Malaki Martin, a former Jesuit who was born in England, formed Rome, and then moved to the United States. His life was, well, life alone could have been subject for a movie. Even if he wasn't a former Jesuit, he was such an interesting man, an interesting character. And what he did, what can I say? It was damn hard. It was, we shared somehow the same view about the Vatican Council too, reform of the Catholic Church that happened in 1956, in which the church was modernized. For many people, for many Catholic people, it was a huge thing, something that they are glad it happened. For the other part of the Catholic community, it was the beginning of the end of the Catholic Church, how we know it. I belong to the second party. I think the moment the church opened up, the moment the church abandoned Latin to start to do the masses in the language of the countries where they were, I think the moment basically the church turned its back to a huge part of its history, it was the moment they showed a vulnerability that brought a huge end to the church itself like we knew it. I think it was a moment of weakness. So, as I was saying, I think the church is still standing after 2000, more than 2000 years, because they kept their tradition. The moment you turn your back to that kind of history, to that kind of tradition, you open yourself up to vulnerability. Like Father Martin said at some point in the movie, the real strength of the church was unity. Unity is gone. Exactly like that. The moment you split the church into an organization that speaks different languages and you take out the one language that unified it all, that was the end, at least for me. The modern church, the church closer to the people, is a beautiful concept, but it should have stayed a concept, a dream. It's like the utopia. It's like when Plato described in his Republic this magnificent way of ruling, this magnificent political way. He created this beautiful utopia that couldn't exist in real world. More than that, this church closer to the people is like when you become friends with your doctor or when you become friends with your psychiatrist. No, there must be a line between the authority and yourself. You would never go to your friend who is a psychiatrist. You would choose another psychiatrist. And that's exactly what happened to the church. The moment it became too friendly, it lost its authority. its place in social life. It's like the concept of moms being friends to their children. No, moms must be moms. The children have other friends, friends their age, friends they can talk about many different things, but the authority must be the authority. Otherwise, you are going to lose any kind of power. And I mean power not in a bad way, but in the better kind of sense of this word. So you lose every control over your children if you are too friendly. And the church has lost its authority and its power over the life of many people just because being too friendly, it means that people now think, oh, you know what, I can do without that. Even because the moment you take off the fear of the devil, the fear of eternal punishment, you leave the people with the sense of, oh, so, okay, so I can sin. And then perhaps I will remember to ask for forgiveness 1 moment before I die, and everything will be fine and okay. It doesn't work exactly like that, at least for me. But hey, that's just my opinion. So I really, really enjoyed this movie. I loved the all the witnesses interview that we saw on screen, and we heard names we already
Yeah.
knew, like the Warrens, like Father Amorth, the priest teaching to the Regina Apostolorum University in Rome, Father Trocchi or Torchi. Trocchi, Father Trocchi was a student and very close friend to Father Amorth. It was like watching some old friends on screen somehow. And it was good. It was very good. It was very well done. I think what really pissed me off at some point, the accuser had some good points, you know. The old man with the oxygen in his nose and the tubes in
Yes.
his nose, he had good points. And then at some point we find out that he believes Father Martin had an affair with his wife, and we realize that's why he is so mad
Yeah.
at Father Martin. It has nothing to do with what they believe. It has nothing to do with what he represented, but it's a personal matter. And so you are like, oh, so the only one who was so against him was the one who had a personal reason to be against him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice try, nice try. You almost got me on some point, but then I realized, no, sorry, no, I don't follow you anymore. And well, yeah, it was a really good movie, and what I really enjoyed in it's a small little detail. It's close to the end of the movie when he calls his friend and he tells him old Scratch wasn't so happy about what we did in Connecticut. That's the way the states in the middle of America calls the devil, old Mr. Scratch. So it reminded me of Chilling Adventure of Sabrina, in which one of the characters is called Nicholas Scratch. And if you know about this, you would have realized long before they told you on screen that Nick Scratch was related to the devil. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
That's cool. I never knew that. That's interesting. Oh, yeah.
See?
No, I mean, I've got a little bit of a different journey in this film than you have because, well, mostly because I'm not Catholic and I'm not from that background. So a lot of what happens within the Catholic faith and the church and the history, I'm like, I don't know if I really believe any of you, and I don't know if I even like you. I didn't realise the film was going to be a documentary when I started watching it, because the blurb, even on Netflix, and when you look it up, says it's a film about a priest and his fight with the devil, and who really is the hostage of the devil. The person being exorcised or the person who is doing the exorcism. So I was going to be, okay, so it's going to be about this priest and whether or not he becomes a hostage of the devil or is his young victim the hostage. Like, the way it's described did not say, at no point in any of the words did it say a documentary about a real life figure and how what he did was influenced by the evolution of the church and the church's views towards exorcism. I'm like, that could have been a helpful thing to have pointed out. So I was a bit like sitting there going, oh, it's one of those mockumentaries at first. I thought it was one of those mockumentaries like Savage Land and stuff. And, and I thought, oh, no. This is a real documentary. This is like all those crime documentaries I watch. When it first started, there's a while before they even bring up demonic possession and exorcisms. And they're just talking about this. So I'm sitting there going, okay, so the last documentary I watched about priests was The Keepers, which was, like most crime documentaries about priests, was about paedophile priests and convents and like the horrible sexual abuse scandals that go. So I was sitting there kind of going, is this going to be about this? And the devil is just a metaphor for like priests doing bad things. And then they were like, oh yes, and he was an exorcist. And I was like, oh, you just kind of casually dropped that into conversation. And then the film is definitely more about the evolution of the views people have of the church and how it tried to evolve to match modernized views by people. And the fact that, like, this father was like, and the fact that he's called Malachi. I spent the whole time going, is that really his name? Because to me, Malachi is normally the name of, something like slightly less priestly, but I was just like, this is like, so Malachi was like, he was kind of like, the church kind of tried to distance themselves from him because they were trying to distance themselves from like archaic views, but in doing that there was all these people that still believed that there was evil within them that couldn't find an outlet and couldn't just go to church to try and find the salvation they needed. So he was more busy, of course, like probably like 10% of them were like maybe truly, and the rest of them, the other 90%, are probably not demonically possessed. But it was interesting that by the church kind of rejecting him and saying, we do not officially sanction you, he actually found that people were more in need of him, because as the world was modernizing, the church was trying to be more friendly and open, but it wasn't dealing with any of the problems the people really had, and like the difference in wealth and poverty and social status. And like, I mean, it so reflects the world that's going on, because I mean, as we record this, the world is going absolutely crazy with like the George Floyd, the like return of Anonymous, the like cancellation of G7 summits and everything, the role of social media and everything. And people more than ever need faith to believe that there is a reason for all this happening, or need to like work out why all this evil in mankind is spinning out. And it could be just evil in like demonic forces, but even if you believe that, now is the time to kind of seek some guidance for it. And while this is all going on, like, yeah, people still need some kind of faith and system in these like older beliefs. And I mean, I'm not a churchgoer. I'm not Catholic. My mum's Catholic, but she never raised us Catholic. We were raised in Church of England. And obviously Church of England is a very different thing, because essentially it was created so that King Henry VIII could divorce. So, it's just like a toned down version of Catholicism with less rules. And even then, by the time I was a teenager, I was like, this is not the place for me. And I soon very much decided I didn't like organised religion. And I didn't like the idea of like paying loads of money to build really expensive, beautiful buildings to worship someone when people were still poor, or me as like, queer, was being told that I'm going to rot in hell. And I'm like, I don't really think I feel like this is for me. But yeah, I didn't expect any of this movie to kind of confront and deal with that issues, because at first I thought it was about, a priest that was going to fight the devil, but it wasn't. And then I thought, what I did like enjoy in this film is I thought the witnesses were very credible. They used people. I mean, I love the minute they said like Ed and Lorraine Warren, I was like, oh yeah, I know them. They've been in loads of things. And I'm like, okay, yes. And they had academics, like people from like the church, and they had like, yes, they also had a guy who stated he was a demonologist, and at first I was like, oh, and then it was like, no, he's a researched, he's academic, he's not just like Britain's next top haunting, no, that's the wrong show, most haunted, going, oh yes, I can definitely commune with the ghost, or there's a demon here. So there's a demon everywhere according to UTV ones. They were credible. That, and they mentioned Father Amor, and I think I preferred this film to Father Amor, because although Father Amor was definitely more about demonic possession and the true story, towards the end it got a little bit like, woo, I'm fighting a demon, cool camera effects, sound effects, and you're just like, okay, now you've lost me a little bit, now you're less credible. This one based it all in research and testimonials and credible witnesses. And even then I was like, but you're not showing me anything. You're not and then literally the minute I turned around to my husband and went, the one thing this is lacking is any footage of these supposed like exorcisms and any physical evidence around this young girl, which all this build up comes down to this final case he worked on. And the minute I said it, they showed some footage, and I was like, and it isn't of, you know, girls screaming and climbing walls and like, or anything of fate. It's just a young girl acting very bizarre for a girl that's 4, speaking in a language she should definitely not know. And they didn't sensationalize this demonic possession, but they didn't like totally go, no, it's not real. They kind of just laid it out factually with all sides of like the argument, and yet at the same time kind of going like, this man went in to help, and it was heartbreaking when his friend was in the car and you could see him just breaking down going, and this is the place I lost my friend, and you're like, these people really cared and believed, and who am I to say it wasn't like that, and like, you know, and do some good at the same time that the church is going, this doesn't exist. So it kind of like, it really like has this double-sided feeling to it, in which I'm kind of going, I don't believe in this stuff, I don't believe in the church, like this is just like a documentary of no proof, to, well, this is a really interesting story, but there is evidence, and it's not like, yeah, demonic possessions. And they say, they address like how it's sensationalized in exorcisms and how in real life it takes so much longer. And it really just kind of like straddled on the line of like, is it plausible reality? Is that the term? When it's just like, it's interesting to see, but steeped with a lot more kind of history and social commentary than I was expecting.
And what I really liked was that all the various theories are supported by people so different between them because of their background, because of their profession, because of their lifestyle. Father Martin is the first one who tells us that it's very hard to change people's beliefs. Even if you give them proofs, you can't change them, because sometimes they prefer to ignore what is under their eyes, because, as I said, to expose the presence of demons or evilness, it disturb their ways of life. So they are more ready to attack the ones who dare to expose this existence than evilness itself. Then the psychiatrist agrees it's impossible to change people's beliefs because you can't give them physical proofs. People change beliefs only if they experience something, and that can't happen to everyone, thank God. So, and then the priest, Father Troki, he is the one who first claims, I love skeptic, because I myself am a skeptic. When people come to me claiming they are possessed, 90% of them are not possessed at all. But we have to realize there is that 10% who went through all the possible medical examination, who went through all the possible psychiatric examination, who are taken off drugs or medications or psychosis or mania or things like that. And then they are left with one only possibility, that something is afflicting them that it doesn't belong to this world. We could call it demon, an entity, a malevolent spirit, any kind of energy, but that kind of energy is not from this world. And sometimes we have to accept that there are things we can't explain. And Shakespeare already told that us. There are more things between earth and heaven than what your philosophy can explain. Zoe, I have to ask you something. Is Luke
Okay.
at home, right?
Oh yes, yes, that was Luke. Obviously, see, I didn't realise. Yeah, he's passing in the background, is he? Yeah, don't worry,
Okay.
not ghost yet.
Okay, perfect. So Zoe is not being threatened by a ghost or an entity or a demon trying to possess her.
No, it's all good.
I just wanted to be sure, because otherwise I would be like, oh my god,
Yeah.
the, the day Zoe will tell me Luke is not home and I will see a shadow go, I will be like, okay, I'm out of here.
How do you think I'd feel? I'd be the one sitting here going, wait.
So yeah, and yeah, it was a good movie. It was a good movie. Perhaps I would, if there is a little thing that I would like to point out. Um, the reason why the class about exorcism was open by the Regina Apostolorum University in Rome is because, as we said, modern priests, not many of them, not all of them believe in the devil, not many of them believe that the devil has a physical manifestation, so they don't see him anymore as the enemy. But because of how the world turned out to be, because of the path the world is working right now, is so big increase of people asking for their help that they were forced to open that class to form the next generation of exorcists, the people in need, the people going through all the long medical examinations, psychiatric examinations, everything was ruled out and they still needed help. The number of those people increased so much that they were forced to do something. It could be a mass psychosis. It could be that people need to believe in something strong, so they need to have back the ancient dichotomy between Christ and Satan. But it could also be because the bad entities, the malevolent entities, the malevolent energy became strong enough that people began to realize there is something more. And we can call it with many different names, but in the end, the point is people need help. And if the church, the supernatural investigators, the demonologists, or people of different cultures and different religions can help them, I think it's their duty help them and to listen to them. What the church failed for a long time to do was to listen, and the church was born to listen in truth. So I think this movie gave us many things to think about. Zoe and we come from different backgrounds. I was raised a Catholic. I don't go to church. I have my shared history, bad history with the church. I believe in God. I am not a fan of the church and how I call it. It's fandom and fan base, but I believe in God, and I believe that if there is a God, it's possible that there is a Satan too. And our world was built on opposition. We have darkness, we have light, we have the sun, we have the moon, we have war, we have peace. So if we have a God, it's possible, it's very credible and believable that there is an enemy of this God out there too. And right now, looking at the world, I have a feeling that the the bad side is winning.
It's slightly scary time. It's weird how this is kind of makes you think about the state of the world and how what's going on in reality at the moment is so close to what we just watched and what we saw in this eternal battle of good versus evil. And it doesn't matter if you're religious or not, there is far more negative energy in the world, because I don't know if I believe in God or don't believe in God. I feel like it'd be silly if there'd just be one being, but I believe in energy, and I believe in spirits because I believe in ghosts and things, and I believe in energy, and I believe it's either goes positive and it turns into things that help mankind, or it goes into negative and feeds the things that destroy mankind. And at the moment there's so much negativity in the world, and I don't know how the positive's going to come back yet. I don't know what is going to come forth that's going to help us out.
That's a good question. I think perhaps we won't see it happening in our lifetime, even because we still have 6 months to survive for 2020. So it's not really sure that it will be a long life we have in front of us, because really in 6 months, everything can happen. I was thinking more about an apocalypse, like vegan, breatharian people turning into cannibals and destroying us.
Yeah, anything. Anything could literally happen. This would be the perfect time for aliens to finally turn up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
Independence Day
dinosaurs.
comes to life.
Or dinosaurs.
Yep.
I think it could be a good time for them to come back and be like,
Ah,
surprise,
you
we
you
weren't a thing.
the subterranean lizard people will finally come back to claim the Earth.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that could be. Or the ones who believes that the earth is flat.
Yeah.
I don't, yeah, that they can come to. Yeah, they can take power and throw away centuries of scientific
Yep.
evolution, and yeah, 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 yeah. Please do whatever the hell you want, because really nothing will surprise me in this year anymore.
Not at all. No.
Nothing, nothing. So yeah, feel free to bring up theories and people, aliens, dinosaurs, zombies, vampires, werewolves, ghosts,
Yep.
whatever, whatever. I won't be shocked.
No.
No, 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 no. Really. So if Zoe doesn't have anything else to say about this movie,
Nope.
thank you for listening. And if you want to watch the documentary, is on Netflix. So I think it could be interesting, even if you don't believe. Even it could be a good watching. So let us know what you think. We have a Twitter account at beneath underscore your, or drop a line on our Facebook page, Beneath Your Skin. We are on Spotify and on Pinecast. So thank you for listening, and see you next time. Bye bye.
As always, Gaia, it's a pleasure. Today, definitely doubly so, because your insight on this documentary and this film was really good, and it helped me realize a few more points. And yeah, fascinating stuff. But for now,
Thank you.
I'm just gonna say bye, byes.